many ways, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom are two very similar games. They're both an open-ended structure, we can go anywhere you like at any time, including to a final boss. They both have shrines, Korok seeds and weapon durability, among other mechanics, and with most of the character and world design remain the same between games, the status direct sequels could not be clearer. But there is one interesting difference between them, a major difference in game design philosophy that's explained perfectly by Link's moveset, that being Breath of the Wild is all about the journey to a place, while Tears of the Kingdom is about what you do when you get there. In other words, it's a journey versus the destination. Let me explain. With Breath of the Wild's worst quest, everyone considers the Divine Beast Fan Meadow quest as the worst one in the series. There's just nothing to it. You speak to an NPC, complete a minigame, complete what's basically a second minigame, then go for the easiest dungeon and boss in the game. It's all over in 20 minutes or so, with good players likely cutting that down much further. Yet, here's the thing, the quest at Rito Village isn't the main challenge here. The journey to Rito Village is the point. And if you do it early on, it's actually quite the trek. You go past at least 3 stables, cross over landmarks like the Tanga Canyon Bridge, see at least 2 Sheikah Towers, and avoid deadly enemies like Guardian Skywatchers and a Stone Talus. So, while the quest at Rito Village has nothing to it, the journey to get there does. The actual dungeon part is just a cherry on top. And for the most part, every Breath of the Wild quest is like this. Baruta isn't difficult, but getting to Zora's Domain can be. Barudani is simple, but getting to Goron City can be challenging. And the same goes for shrines and shrine quests, Korok seeds, etc. Finding them is meant to be the interesting part, while the actual puzzle at the end is mostly a short dopamine hit, or perhaps busy work. Hell, even the final areas like that. Hyrule Castle is much more interesting than either form of Ganon could ever be. Of course, there are some exceptions. The Vanna Boris quest has a challenging dungeon lead up, dungeon and boss fight, and the Champion's Ballad DLC doesn't really let up at any point. But that does kind of make sense when you think about them structurally. That's how the last things you do, and Link's moveset is meant to be much stronger at that point, so they're meant to challenge a player that's done everything else. Contrast this with Tears of the Kingdom. In that game, movement is incredibly easy and efficient. You can use Skyview towers to blast into the sky and glide down anywhere. You can build a contraption to shoot across a landscape high speed. You've got tools like rocket shields to make vertical navigation a breeze. So the game's been designed around that. Now, the Wind Temple quest has a long build up with caves on the surface and a rising Sky Island chain before it. The Fire Temple has 2 mini-boss battles, plus treks across both the surface and the depths, and the others are more complex than that. Like say, the Water Temple itself might be stupidly quick and easy, but you have to get to Zora's Domain, speak to Simon's fiancée, go to Zora Court, visit Sidon, rebuild the wall, get a scale from the king, activate the whirlpool from floating Scales Island, fight the Sludge Light, clear the ancient Zora waterworks, and scalp a long train of Sky Islands just to reach the dungeon itself. Same goes for Lightning Temple and Spirit Temple lead up. They're all meant to be lengthy processes that take you from multiple areas and challenges. In this case, the journey isn't the point anymore, the destination is. In other words, it's a game designed around the possibility that the player has a hoverbike. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have the pros and cons, but the one you prefer depends what you want from a game like this. Breath of the Wild is like a trek into wilderness, stumbling across landmarks and pockets of civilization along the way. Tears of the Kingdom is like a trip to Disney World or Universal Studios, where the fun happens when you get there, and the journey is just a setup for that. And that also explains why the world is more dangerous in Tears of the Kingdom too. Tears of the Kingdom Link just has better tools than Breath of the Wild Link. Things like enemies, bosses, dungeons and shrines have been scaled up accordingly to take advantage of that. So yeah, that's how Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom differ design wise. The former is a slow paced exploration game where navigation is difficult and the challenge of your destination is a victory lap. Or the latter is a much faster paced game where the challenge at the end is the main point, or the journey is trivial. If you found the video interesting, give it a like, subscribe to our channel if you want to see more, then leave your thoughts in the comments below or over on the Discord server today.